I'm not saying it's aliens. All right, welcome back. We're not going anywhere. And that's the OddsShop Golf Channel, of course, here on the OddsShopper Golf Channel. On top of We're Not Going Anywhere, we're staying in the great state of Arizona. And if you think it was rowdy this past weekend at the Waste Management, just wait until Tiger's House opens up at the Genesis. Ben Rasa, I'm Eytan Shander. Chris is producing. We appreciate you here. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, as it goes a long way as we're building our new channel solely dedicated to the wonderful, beautiful, maddening, and frustrating game of golf. But that's why we're here. That's why we love it. Ben, we look back before, right? We move forward. But in between looking back and moving forward, we do need to have a moment of silence for what happened last year at the Genesis, because it is something near and dear to your heart that you won't be able to talk about. So I feel like we should at least acknowledge it, have a moment of, so you already know where I'm going.
I actually don't.
Okay.
It's all a blur at this point. It's been a long week. Like you said, we're in Arizona now. We're going back to California. I love Riv. I love the Riv. This is an awesome place. Go ahead. Just pain me right to start the show with some misery from the Genesis 2022.
No. We have to follow. Look, Chris builds this wonderful, beautiful graphic on the side for us for a reason. So we can't just go crazy. Like, we're going to go off script, but we can't go that off script this early in the show. Let us at least look back, if we can, at what happened this past weekend. I don't know about you. I think there are two separate things for me, right, Ben? Scottie Scheffler is on a tear right now, a heater. He is one of the most impressive golf. We talked about Jon Rahm. When Scheffler is playing, he's on his game. He doesn't jump off, though, right? Like, he's not dominating the personality element angle of the tour. And I do wonder if that had any impact in your general watch, as opposed to just from a money-making standpoint, where, clearly his odds have always been devalued in any tournament he's playing. And maybe not to the extent we've seen Rahm this stretch, but Scheffler comes out on top. We had a couple of other good things in there too.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Scheffler back-to-back at Waste Management, credit to him, wasn't close to getting to him, so it's pretty easy for me to take. Doesn't tilt, like, for me, it's not tilting when I wasn't going to bet Scottie Scheffler. There was no real scenario where I did that. I was disappointed in the sense that I actually felt that I had a pretty good card, and I did fine. Matchups were really solid. Justin Thomas right there. Hatton played well. Close doesn't really help with outrights, though. And obviously Scottie Scheffler wins the tournament, but it is nice to see that, the guys that you're on gave it a run. Some of them were right up there. And if you laddered, guys like Hatton, guys like JT, you definitely caught a piece at the very minimum.
Yeah, I felt the same way with, you mentioned the ladder, Tony Finau, looking at him. We talked about him ahead of time, reaching that top 20 in this environment. Hideki Matsuyama is another guy we talked about, where if he can battle and he can hang and he comes in on that top 30, and there's just progress there. So, we're talking a lot about the mid-range, the long range as well, long shot odds that you can apply here. So there is something to identifying week to week. I mean, you hit a couple of guys in the mid-range back to back. So that's kind of where I was looking at as well. It's like, all right, is there progress being made? Can we build off of this, even if it's not the following week? But in this case, maybe there is. And I think there is some carryover to the theater, the elements, and everything that you're dealing with, weather aside. So let's tell everybody about what's going on at DraftKings. But first, because we're going to head into this ridiculous tournament that has 38 of the top 50. If we can just have a moment of silence, because for last year's winner, Ben Rasa's favorite golfer ever on tour, has departed the PGA for the Live, which is fine. Look, if Beyonce can perform in that country, then Joaquin Neiman can perform in that country. All right, that's all I'm saying. But this has to hurt, Ben, and I'm at least recognizing your pain.
Yeah, I was a big Neiman backer at Genesis last year, as you know. He's made me some good money over the years. He's still so young, but he's been around forever. And now he's out in Oman watching Brooks shoot 85 every week. So tough scene. What are you going to do? Still plenty of guys to choose from. But yeah, shout out to to Neiman. He was, of all the guys that went to live for me, just on a personal level, if I could bring one back, it would be Neiman.
I get it, man. I had to bring it up. I knew it was something near and dear to you. By the way,
Yeah, it
I
hurts.
was trying
Thanks
to just,
for that. Appreciate you.
yeah. I figured it would ease the pain of whatever you lost on the Eagles. All right.
Yeah, well, that was a whole different situation, but
Oh boy, thank goodness there's golf. Let us tell you about what's happening here on DraftKings. This is so simple and so easy. We want you to lock something in actually ahead of time because we record this on a Monday, right? And we give you our early looks just to depend on how things change with tee times and throughout the week with value. We want to get ahead of this early. We also want you to get ahead of this promo on DraftKings because the sooner you get in, the easier and the quicker you're going to get this money right back into your account. $5 into $150. All right. So you see Chris has Charleston up here on the college slate. That's Monday night. So if you're watching this when this show premieres, when this show comes out, you're just going to take 90 seconds out of your life, click a link below, sign up, deposit $5, and immediately place that $5 on the heaviest money line you can find. Ben, we found Charleston. That's pretty heavy. You tell me Duke tomorrow night without even knowing what the official line is going to be Tuesday night. That's going to be one. You can basically span the college basketball board every single night, right? And identify the heaviest favorite and just put $5 on that, depending on what day you're watching this video.
absolutely. So it's pretty simple because your pregame money line has to win. So we want to give us the best chance. If you bet $5 on Charleston, you win 30 cents. That's what your return is. With this, you win $150. So instead of winning 30 cents, if they win the game, $1.50 comes back to you in terms of $150. Think about the difference in that with these heavy, heavy favorites. It's simple. Find the money line that you think has the best chance to win. Put your $5 on it. And if and slash when they win, a nice bankroll boost for you.
All right, let's look at this week. We are right on the backdrop of LA, as you mentioned. This is a ridiculously difficult course. I mean, this is like the bad side of the mind of Tiger Woods. You have to be a golfer, right? I would say that. Like you, Ben, you can explain how you look at this, and but we need guys here to. The cut level has been what, above par last 10 years. You have to be really good scrambling. You have to be really good shaping your drives, not just hitting for distance. There's so many things you need to do scrambling that are just golf shots. Like you have to hit golf shots here, bunkers around the par fours. This is not an easy course, Ben.
Oh, no, it's not an easy course at all. And you have an elite field and a real difficult test. Why isn't it easy? Well, it's hard to hit the fairways. If that wasn't bad enough, it's hard to hit the greens. Greens and regulation percentage, way down here versus a normal course. Driving accuracy, way down here versus a normal course. What does that mean? Around the green, you're going to have to get up and down. You're going to have to scramble. Now, I don't think it's overly crazy in terms of the difficulty, but you're going to be tested getting up and down. The greens roll fast. It's back to POA because we're in California. A true test of golf. And I think the leaders, or I should say the winners, reflect that. You see all different types of people over the years win this, from the Bubbas of the world to like Stricker, who obviously is not a lot. Like you can navigate this course all different ways and be effective.
Yeah, that's a great point. Dustin Johnson in 2017, the only guy that was below 2,500, and that was one of Bubba's 3 years in 2016. Everybody else is a pretty significant dog here, long shot, including Neiman 60-1, Homa 60-1 the previous 2 years. Adam Scott, I'm sure he'll come up in this show here at 33-1 when he won it. JB Holmes, I'm sure you had him laddered in 2019, right? So yes. And I don't know, I was going to save this for a conversation about the top tier, but I thought maybe it would be better to bring this up right away because you opened the door with how to navigate this in multiple ways. Do you think that there is a sense, and maybe this is just pigeonholing a 10-year span here, but do you think there's a sense of like the top part of the field eating each other when you look at the top and how difficult it is for anybody with the expectations, if it's Rory, if it's Scheffler, if it's Rahm, to play at a high level, where guys like Homa, Neiman, Scott, Watson, the first time around at least, have been able to sneak in at 50, 60-1?
No, I mean, I think it just speaks to the depth of the tour than anything else. Like, yes, the elite players are more likely to win, but there's 20 or 30, maybe you don't want to call them elite, but damn good golfers that if they bring their A game, they can beat Rory and Rahm any day of the week. And I mean, the odds are reflective in that. I think it's honestly a perfect time. I'm going to jump into the top tier if you're game, because you look at the board. Okay, yeah, we've got John Rahm, we've got Scheffler, we've got Rory, big names, 10-1, 7-1, whatever. Scroll down 5, 10 names. You got major champions. You've got elite players in the world. Viktor Hovland, Morikawa, Sanjay, Cantlay. I mean, these are guys not even in that top tier. So when I look, I'm going to stick with Justin Thomas. I played him last week. I thought he was right there without really threatening. This is another course that he's got experience at. He can handle it. He's the best around the green player that I think is out there. He gained 12 strokes tee to green at Waste Management, and he was flat with the putter. If he rolled it, he would have been holding the trophy last week. I'll stick with him, and then I'm going to go with a wild card. I'm very interested to see if you love this or hate this. Viktor Hovland right now he's starting to get kind of like a polarizing name about how good he really is. He's someone, he made the cut last week. He dominated off the tee. His around the green game is weak. Now he's really shown good results at Genesis from what we've seen, 5th and 4th. And he lost strokes around
by the way.
Last 2 years.
Just want to reiterate really that. That's top 5 last 2 years.
He's crushed it tee to green. He's crushed it on the POA greens. His around the green game was not good, but it never is. He's got pretty good POA splits. I think there's a buy low on Viktor Hovland. You can shop this 25-30-1 range out there. I'm going to say that Viktor Hovland's still got more upside than it seems, even though there's a lot of players, it seems like, passing him with each and every week.
Yeah, I think that you get this in golf where it's not a complete 180 or it's not a plus minus charge, right? Working against each other with batteries, but it doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense that Viktor Hovland would thrive at a place that penalizes you so much in an area that he struggles. And that's probably putting nicely at stretches. And you mentioned just scrambling and getting around the green. But if you are creative and effective off the tee and you can set yourself up, good drives gained is something that we've seen, right? Where you're either hitting the fairway, you're missing the fairway, but you're still making it green in regulation. So Hovland has that ability, irons, right, to recover off of that. I don't think it's like, oh my God, this doesn't make sense. It's mind boggling, but it doesn't add up to where I think it's a natural fit. And that's, to your point, why and look, he's also in a field that is super top heavy, but we've seen course history play a major factor in this. I love where you're going with Hovland. And I tell you otherwise.
No, I know you would. Hovland is a guy that I usually
tell me otherwise. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, usually that's what I was going to say. Usually I feel like you're more of a Hovland guy than I am. Yep. I'm not someone that really gravitates towards him, but this is a week that I have some interest in. I love it, man. It is a weird dynamic because, yes, scrambling is up, and why would you go to a guy with weak around the green? But to me, I kind of view it through the lens that maybe I'm thinking about it backwards. Everybody's going to have to scramble. You're going to not be able to just get away with the irons. And it's not overly difficult. It's not saying it's easy, but he can keep it where he normally is. Roll the putter. You don't have to chip it good if you make the putt. Around the green versus scrambling are two different things. Yep. Those are two different areas. And for me, Hovland has shown he can do it. US Opens, he's been effective. Like, there are difficult courses with tough greens that Hovland actually seems to thrive in those situations.
He's not on my card. I don't think he's on your card. So I don't want to bypass two names that you should talk about right away. And before we get into deeper, first is Rory. And look, he's 10-1. You can shop. I'm sure you can get a better number, what have you. But that number itself, especially for what you saw last week, I wouldn't put too much into that. He's still Rory McIlroy. He's still been playing a shit ton of golf over in Europe. But I imagine, as you referenced with JT, that number is simply just too low for you to play in this field where you can get better value. And the other is, I mean, are you going to do anything at all? Because it's not on either of our cards. Oh, wait, you know what? I'll save that. I'll save that for the end. The other guy is a pretty big popular name.
I knew I was waiting for when the big cat was going to come up.
No. But you have it on the final card. So maybe that's a tease. You want Tiger. You want Ben Raza's thoughts on Tiger. You're going to have to stick around for the final card.
Exactly.
Right?
We'll get to Tiger. Okay. Don't worry. Rory, listen, no pushback on Rory. I will say, and is this backed by, do I have the numbers in front of me? I do not. Rory starts so slow all the time. Pick up Rory in the middle of the first round when he's like 2 over, and it seems like he's not going to win. You'll get much better odds than you will right now. And Rory has started slow a million times, and then he wins some of those tournaments. So I'm not running to the window to bet Rory, even though I'm a huge Rory backer in life.
All right, I'm going to throw 2 things out at you. This is not going to take long. We'll head into the mid-range here and pick this thing up by all means. But if you want to talk about history and success without winning, I think the biggest concern with Xander Schauffele recently, Ben, has been his health. And you just saw him play well. I know he came in, he got a benefit of a ruling and a half there on Sunday that probably screwed some people over in placement bets. But this is not a guy who is withdrawing after 2 days. This is not somebody who's lost right now by any means. We know that he plays big in these types of fields. And again, this is a ridiculously tough course that he has navigated successfully in the past. He's 16-1, and I can get him just a little bit behind JT. You could probably make the argument that it's more sharp than not, but at 16-1 in this field with that history, I'll take a shot with Xander. I'm not going to play Tony Finau straight up, but I am interested in where he is to see head-to-head in 3 balls, because I think this is another environment from crowd to field to ridiculous course that he's going to thrive. And he just comes off another one last week at the Waste Management where he played really well. So those are the 2 I'd throw at you.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Finau's been here, done that, runner-up twice. He plays really well, and he should. This is the type of course. Xander, if anyone has watched me over the years, people know that me and Xander, we just simply don't get along. I love him as a player. I never get him right. I actually shorted him last week and I got away with it because I had Justin Thomas over him in matchups.
There you go.
I was fortunate. It's the same thing for me. I think he sets up great. If you're building a pretty expansive card, I would add him. If I was only playing one, I would still have JT a little ahead of him at similar odds, but Xander struck it beautifully last week, and he does seem to like Genesis.
I saw something, and I am just shocked because you either don't know or don't care, and it's probably the latter. Even if you don't know, you just don't care anyway because it's coming out of my mouth. But Tyrrell Hatton here is one of 5 or 6 guys in the field with one of the worst total strokes gained here at Rivera. And he is one of the guys that made your you got all jacked up from Hatton last week that you're riding the Hatton train here into Genesis.
Yeah, what do I care? He hasn't played here a lot at all. I'm not worried about that at all. He had barely any Waste Management history, and then he came in 6th. He was fantastic. He gained 10 strokes tee to green. He was electric. Ty Hatton was, he was on the card obviously last week for me, and although I really didn't, break through with anything, I was super happy with that number. He was in the hunt, just couldn't really put it all together. There's no reason he can't come here. My biggest knock on this is that Waste Management in Arizona is Bermuda. This comes back to California, and it's a change of surface for a guy that I really prefer on Bermuda. So that's not ideal, but we're in the mid-range now. Like, Hatton is a nice number. He's in the bucket with Scott and Ricky and Day and those guys, and I think he's a pretty good play in that type of market.
All right, so Hatton at 45-1. You do go a little bit wider here to stretch the parameters of mid-range, which we love.
Of course, there are no rules on the show.
Never.
Keegan, there's another like you-centric play. Keegan was awesome last week. He gained in all 4 categories. He was runner-up at the Farmers. He's a notoriously good driver of the ball. Will Genesis eat him alive with the putter and around the greens? Well, we've certainly seen that happen, but we've also seen Keegan Bradley come in 2nd here, come in 4th here. He can do it. It's sporadic, but he's 75-1 right now. So if you're looking for that type of maybe consistent tee to green with luck box putting needed, I think you could do worse than Keegan this week.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what he was able to do last week and what you highlighted, and I think at 75 to 1, how much of this is just being in this field versus anything that would be concerning that you're recognizing. And look, he is going to be 75 to 1 in that range, but it doesn't feel like, oh my goodness, he should be at that 60 to 1 or 50 to 1, but it does feel like this is great value to the field. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, there's always an opportunity, the outright market, of course, isn't just who you're betting, it's who you're betting versus a field. Like if Rahm and Rory weren't here, everyone's odds would be less because the win equity from those two would be dispersed amongst everyone else. And that is certainly relevant to a guy like Keegan. And I know you have a couple of dudes in the mid-range. Hopefully it's nothing too dangerous.
No, I think the second guy is going to be the play. The first guy is going to be somebody that, much like Rory and much like Tiger, we kind of have to mention because I feel like Adam Scott is going to be a super popular play this week, right? Somebody who has had success here, somebody who is not at the top of the field. He's just below, as you see, Hatton, where you mentioned, Ben. But I wanted to bring him up because I think the popularity at 50 to 1 is not going to be doused by just looking at the recent history and saying, oh, all right, this guy has a legit shot to do it. So my first inclination was to not bet Adam Scott at 50 to 1, but I did want to bring him up because I feel like he's going to be a super popular play.
I think he's more important. And again, you're here on the OddsShopper, the brand new OddsShopper golf channel, by the way. If you're not subscribed, be part of the early adopters. We're going to grow quickly. I think he's more relevant over on Stochastic, where we'll be talking about the DFS side of things. Adam Scott's going to be a popular play. I could see him being a one and done target for some people. I'm indifferent to the bet. I prefer Hatton. I prefer Day, Fitzy, Decky range if I was going to pick, but Adam Scott is not a cross off and forget type guy. He has relevancy. I'm just not sure it's in the outright market.
All right, I'm going to take the Hovland approach here. All right, and I don't think it's crazy. I know that we've got a lot of crazy shit going on. UFOs, like we got the ancient aliens guys.
Times are tough.
It is. It's nuts, man. We need Mulder back in effect at this point. But here's what I would say. I think Viktor Hovland has shown that you don't need to be dominant in these par fours where the majority of guys are just missing the fairway and scrambling or their second shot trying to make up for that, depending on where they are from approach, right? And still hitting the green in regulation. That's why good drives is such an important stat, I think, here. Good drives gain. Matt Fitzpatrick, if you look at this, 40 to 1 to the field, Ben. So on the other side of Keegan, by all means, stretching the mid-range shot here, 40 to 1. But he pops in two big areas. He's one of the best in the field right now as far as total driving. Good drive is gained, really, is what I'm looking at for Matt Fitzpatrick. And he also pops on POA. He's one of the better putters, 5, 10, 15, 20 feet, where you start to get in that range, especially closer on this grass. So here's somebody that I think at 40 to 1, yeah, maybe Viktor Hovland has shown a pathway where if you can do those two things, you can still compete and be in this. At 40 to 1, if he's in the top 5, if he's in the top 10, what have you, heading into the second or third, fourth day, I think there's a legit shot.
I mean, listen, I'm not going to talk bad about Fitzy. He's a damn good player. He's certainly, and I know you're not saying this, he's a different type of player than Hovland. It could be the same
exactly.
Yeah, same formula.
I'm just saying, like that formula to get there without that one area. Exactly. Thank you for clarifying.
No, absolutely. And around the green, he's an elite player. I guess my question is, what the hell's going on with his irons? Fitzy's irons are teetering on broken. He has lost strokes with the approach in 6 straight. That's dating back to last season. But even take 2023, 0 for 3. In strokes gained on the approach. He lost another stroke at Waste Management. He lost 4 at Pebble Beach. You can't survive at Genesis doing that. That's just not going to work.
You're right. And I don't think there's an easy fix to it in the sense. I think if you are accurate off the tee and you're still to your point, if you're struggling that much with your irons, your longer irons, part of it, that's why the tee here, a lot of yelling last night, Ben, if you can imagine. at the TV. So if my voice is cracking, it's a result.
Times are tough for us all.
I get it. I get it. I don't think there's an easy response, easy answer to that. I think you look back at somebody who is still hitting the ball to the extent off the tee where he's in this category of either being accurate on the green or being able to survive on misses. That's what you fall back on, and you hope that he can put a couple of days together. Again, at 40-1, you are looking at a glaring weakness, And if that, I would throw at the back, if that's not as bad, if we're not talking about borderline broken irons for Matt Fitzpatrick, he's probably closer to like 35-30-1, if not even better than that, because his play would be a reflection of that. I get it, Ben, but in this field, in this tournament, what he does well, if that's not hurting him, that may bump him up even more.
Yeah, but no argument there. Fitzy, again, he's a really good player. He's had the injury worries and stuff. There's a lot of question marks, and that's why you see this number he's a U.S. Open winner. There's no questioning, can Fitzy beat this type of field? The answer is 100% yes. I just don't know where he's at right now.
All right, let's keep it moving here. We got to tell people what's happening. New to the OddsShopper Golf channel, new to the OddsShopper community, new to Stochastic, whatever it is you may be, we have a really cool thing happening here with our insider access, our premium Discord, where you can pop in and be part of this community. And it really is. We have a bunch of cool different sweats going on throughout. A lot of golf talk. You know that between myself, really with Ben, Lindy, Eric Lindquist, you see all the faces there as well. Greg's in the house, Lofty's in the house, Matt Gajeski's in the house, Isaiah from the Written Site, Narco Cop's in the house. So we have a lot of people covering a lot of ground, Ben. But what I love is that everybody has kind of these different plays, different sweats happening. We have this early token thing that's going on DraftKings, right? Where if your team in the NBA's up by 10 points, the bet hits. So my channel's basically been rolling with this. We're 8-3 in the 11 days that we've played so far in February. So it's cool. It's fun. Like, you have everybody playing the same thing. It's a sweat. You're watching the game. You're hoping for a team just to get up by 10. There are a lot of other really cool things happening, futures tickets and whatnot, but the community element, man, that you've helped build, I'll give you that, is really a lot of fun.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you're betting these guys. It's a fun sweat. It's a roller coaster. You want to be in it together. And, for this, we're giving our first looks on outrights, but like tee times are going to come out. Matchups pop up, daily matchups, things like that. The best mechanism to get those is Discord. It's hard to put a video together in the morning on the day of for everyone. So if you're interested in that type of stuff, 50% off that first week. You come in and you hang out. If you like it, stay. If you don't, it's 1 week. It's not going to bankrupt you. It's not a big commitment. We're just really confident that you want to be part of this community. It's been a really fun experience so far.
You know what the most popular bet was in my channel last night?
The octopus. I know the answer because I got all the alerts from all the people who are cashing their like 15-1 tickets on that. If that's your thing, come into Discord, but stay out of my channel.
How much do you think the boss put on that? Like, I'm sure he's capped wherever he's.
Yeah, I'm sure he is.
But we were on the Stochastic channel real quick, and we were in between shifts, right? I'm stepping out, Alex Baker's stepping in. We go from the odd shop to the full-on deeper dive of the Super Bowl with Ben Luffy and Alex Baker on Stochastic. And Alex is like, hey, man, I like that octopus. I think I'm going to bet that octopus. And then I'm thinking like, oh, shit. He's
nice job.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like, this is not going to hit. And I'm going to get a note from Chris, which is like, hey, man, we took you off the schedule next week. And it's like another note being like, hey, man, we took you off the schedule the following week. And I'll be sitting there like John Travolta, right? In that GIF, like, what's going on here? But it hit. And on my job is safe, Ben.
Yeah, until you better hope Fitzy gets those irons figured out. A lot of pressure here.
Fair. All right, let's go long here.
Okay. So I'm going to throw out a couple names. Again, what do we say every time? Do I think these guys can win the tournament? Obviously, there's always a chance. These are interesting ladders, top 20s, top 10s. You're going to get plus money on Tommy Fleetwood. Going to stick with him one more week. He missed the cut on the number. Didn't have his best stuff. Again, I think it's just kind of a project for me earlier in the year. Now, two guys that I thought played way better, and their odds are massive. And I get it. There's a big field. Patrick Rodgers, 180-1. Gary Woodland, 180-1. Patrick Rodgers, 14th, gained across the board at Waste Management. California guy. Gary Woodland, 42nd at Waste Management. He lost 5 strokes putting the last 2 weeks on tour and still made both cuts, or last 2 events, I should say, that he played. So if you're looking for flyers, I think you can do a lot worse than Rodgers and Woodland. I want to hear your guys, and then I want to give our Tiger takes because he is also 100-1 in this field.
Okay. Rodgers, I feel like if you're going Rodgers in a tournament, it's a blind tail.
Oh, what?
Blind
You
tail,
got to do it with Patrick Rodgers.
Exactly. I've been all Gary Woodland up, as they say here in Philly, right? And we even had him in the long shot column that we do on the OddsShopper written site a couple of weeks back. Now granted, it's not a ton of time that he spent here, but he, like Hatton, has terrible course history here. So you're asking somebody who in their limited time, granted, Ben, has not performed well. It's like a special teams coordinator. You only get a couple of chances. You better not fuck it up and give up a punt return in the Super Bowl.
So Gary Woodland, and it doesn't mean he's going to fix it, but Gary Woodland has lost 7, 6, 5, and 3 strokes putting in his he came in 26th one year, and all the other years, those were his strokes gained putting. What do you want him to now? Either figure out the POA greens, or we're going to see that again. But if he does, everything else is fine, and I'm okay with just rolling the dice on putting being random with a guy like this.
All right, you ready to get a little crazy before we get out of here and talk Tiger?
Yeah, we only have a couple minutes left, and that's fine because it won't take long.
I'm betting this. I'm betting this week's version of the octopus.
Yeah, there's a better chance of the octopus.
Adam Scott, Tony Finau, Max Homa, Rory McIlroy, John Rahm, Justin Thomas, Viktor Hovland, Hideki Matsuyama, and Ches Reavie. 9 players in this field with multiple top 10 finishes over the last 5 years, Ben. Count it. Now, at 400-1, is Reavie going to win this event? No, but I would take a long, hard look at top 40 because you're going to get a ridiculous return at that, and sprinkle a quarter unit or less if you want on him as a top 20. You cannot ignore the fact that you are getting insane odds because of a lot of things have happened between his last top 10 finish and now. I get it, but come on, Ben, for somebody who has mastered this course to that extent.
Mastered this course. Get out of here with that. No, don't do that with Ches. I'm looking right now and it's pretty rough.
Yeah, but this is home for him. He comes home. How much have we talked about horses for courses, right? Isn't that the phrase?
He's not a horse for a course. That's not even Ches Reavie. I don't even think he would fit Riviera. No.
He's got 5 top 10s.
Ches Reavie's been around.
Multiple top 10s over the last 5 years.
Let's not get crazy. And they were both 10th place finishes. Like, I get he's got a better chance than Tiger, but that's about all I can say.
All right, give me your thoughts on Tiger before we get out of here.
I mean, my thoughts on Tiger is it's awesome that he's playing. I hope that he uses this as a springboard to get healthy for tournaments, that maybe he can really show something. The ironic thing about this, at the height of Tiger's powers, Genesis was never a course that he really liked. Nope. He doesn't have a great course history here relative to his dominance everywhere else. I can't imagine that he comes ready to play in a field like this, in a course like this. I have no expectations outside of it would be cool if he finds the weekend, and I think that's even a stretch.
I agree. This is not the place to bet Tiger Woods.
No, that would be stupid. If you want to do it for fun,
and really any capacity, but you're right as far as like make the cut. But
yeah, I mean, listen, it's Tiger Woods, but I don't know.
Is a difficult place.
Unless someone knows something that I don't. Like it seems like he's still working back from the litany of things that plague him. I don't know why he would come in ready to play here.
Absolutely. No, it makes
but he's still Tiger, and I'll be rooting for him damn hard. I would love to see him in the mix. I just don't think it's going to be this week.
All right, let's roll here. Final card. And again, this is not locked in stone. Another reminder that you can hit us up on the Discord, sign up, half off your first week, and you can talk to Ben and Eric and myself to a lesser extent about what we're looking at in golf, although the Decky top 30 boost hit. That's always nice. Final card, my friend. Why don't you begin?
Yeah, we've been, listen, again,
we've been doing
I
well.
know the channel's relatively young. We've been on a great run from Danny McCarthy and Rose and just Max Homa even this week. We're going to try to keep it rolling. Everything I said, I love everything we did minus Ches Reavie on this show. So I'm going to really do a lot of that. You've got JT and Hovland, Hatton for me, the same guys that I've been sticking with or been backing. I'm going to continue to back. And I know you've mentioned Xander and some. I'll leave that to you. I'm super on board with both of our cards, up and down the top 40s to straight outrights.
I'm with you, man. I think Xander, I might take a shot top 10 for Xander, knowing that the odds are not going to be super in my favor here, but I definitely think money line for him. I'm going to work Finau involved in this because I think that he's not going to be, especially, and I'm going to wait and see where the where the matchups specifically are, where I can take advantage of. In fact, he's with Xander and Homa, and I know Homa's a guy we didn't really talk about, but I'll take him pretty much at plus 170 to beat a guy that I just said I liked outright. I like Finau better, but I don't want to bet Finau to win this. I think I can take advantage of Finau in matchups and head-to-heads in a better spot. I'm not going to bet both, meaning I'm not going to bet.
No.
I'll have to choose at that point. But that's
fine.
Absolutely.
And again, I just want to give a quick shout out. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say
Rogers,
I'm interested in
Woodland, these type of guys, I think you're going to see on the top 20, top 40 card for May.
Yep. I'm probably going to have Decky in some way. Maybe even beating Spieth and Hadwin. There you go.
Yeah, you can 3 balls. There's so many ways to get exposure to these guys. It doesn't have to just be outrights.
By the way, Hovland's plus 175 against Cantlay, who we did not discuss in your guy, JT. I may do that just to octopus you.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. JT, I think, is close. I really do.
I agree. I'm not going to bet against him. We'll see you next week. Hopefully you can cash some tickets. Thanks again. Thumbs up, subscribe. The new OddsShopper Golf channel. Thank you for being a part of this. We're here each and every Monday. Thanks again, Ben and Chris.
Good luck.